Hello everybody, welcome back to the xSmithyx YouTube channel, here today for a brand new video looking at the Eifel Grand Prix coming up this weekend. Just very quickly before we jump into it, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that checked out the last real life F1 video we did looking at Honda pulling out of F1. There was incredible support on that video. It's been by far the best performing video on the channel, so I just want to say a very quick thank you. If you haven't seen it, do go and check that out, but enough of the self-plugins for today. We're going to jump straight into this video then and have a quick preview, I guess, of the Eifel Grand Prix. So, as you can see in the background, we're just going to have a little bit of F1 2020 gameplay, just for something to be on the screen for you guys to watch while you listen to me rambling on. But, yes, the Eifel Grand Prix, F1 is returning to the Nürburgring for the first time since 2013 for round number 11 of this crazy season. It's always good to see one of these old school circuits back on the calendar, and I think it should definitely make for an interesting Grand Prix this weekend. So the Nürburgring circuit comes in just a shade under 3.2 miles. It has 15 corners, 2 DRS zones this weekend as well. Firstly down the main straight and then the back straight towards the last chicane, towards the end of the lap. First used in 1984 after F1 decided to stop using the infamous Nordschleife circuit after the horrific accident to Niki Lauda in 1976. The circuit has played host to GPs under the German, European and even Luxembourg Grand Prix, until it eventually left the calendar in 2013 due to financial difficulties, but now with this incredibly crazy season we have due to COVID-19, it is back on the calendar and it is one that I'm very happy to see back. One thing to keep an eye out for this weekend is how the drivers adapt to driving around what is essentially a new circuit for most of them. Only 7 of the current grid are actually racing in the 2013 German Grand Prix when it was at the Nürburgring, won by obviously Sebastian Vettel. Kimi Raikkonen and Romain Grosjean were on the podium that day for the now dead Lotus team. Lewis Hamilton was also on the grid alongside Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas, but for everyone else this is a completely new circuit in a Formula 1 car. But even then the cars have changed so much since we were last here that I'm not even sure that's going to be an advantage, so it's going to be interesting to see once again how the drivers get up to speed, just like with Mugello just a few weeks ago. The drivers never having driven around that circuit, so we're going to see who can get up to speed the quickest, and I think that's going to be key for this weekend. So, let's get into the race preview, and obviously the main talking point, obviously after Hamilton failed to do it in Russia, is the fact that Lewis Hamilton, once again this weekend, is going to be chasing Michael Schumacher's record of 91 race wins, and to do it at the Nürburgring would be somewhat fitting for Lewis Hamilton, as this was Michael Schumacher's home track. He grew up less than 100 kilometres from the circuit, and Schumacher even has a corner around this circuit named after him, the infamous Schumacher S's in the middle sector. One of the greatest corners on the track, a flat out chicane coming up a hill in the middle of the lap. So Lewis Hamilton could do it at Schumacher's home race. I think that would be a great story. Obviously I know a lot of people don't want Lewis to break the record, but Michael Schumacher himself said that records are made to be broken, and I think that considering Lewis has had all this incredible achievements with the Mercedes team that Schumacher helped build up in the early part of the 2010s, I think Schumacher would be very proud to see what Lewis Hamilton has done in the few years since. However, that is not the only Schumacher related news for this weekend. Obviously you will have seen it everywhere by now, but Mick Schumacher will be taking part in an official F1 session for the very first time this weekend, as he takes part in FP1 for Alfa Romeo Racing, as Ferrari start evaluating their youngsters to see whether or not they need a drive in Formula 1 next season. Mick Schumacher is taking part for Alfa Romeo. Again, incredible to see that he will be driving at Michael Schumacher's home track. It's a very good story, and I'm delighted to see the Schumacher name back on the grid after 8 years away, which is incredible considering Michael and Ralph's success in the 1990s and 2000s, which is when I grew up with Formula 1, so it's been very strange not to see a Schumacher on the grid, but Mick is bringing the name back for the first time since a Brazilian Grand Prix in 2012 after Schumacher's second retirement, so it's going to be incredible to see him on the circuit. He's been doing some tests with Ferrari around their Fiorano circuit in the last few weeks just to get himself up to speed. But he is not the only Ferrari youngster who will be taking part. Callum Ilott is also going to be testing in FP1 for Haas. Once again, another Ferrari junior who they are evaluating for a seat next year, maybe at Haas, maybe at Alfa Romeo. Those seats are still up in the air. If you would like to see me do a video on what I think should happen for the remaining seats next season, do let me know in the comments below, and I will get around to doing one of those in the next couple of days. So, going from Ferrari drivers of the future to one of the past, this weekend, Kimi Raikkonen is set to break Rubens Barrichello's race start record in Formula 1 as he's about to start his 323rd Grand Prix, which is an absolutely incredible achievement for the Iceman. One of the quickest drivers in Formula 1 in the mid-2000s with that McLaren team. He only did 23 single-seater races before being snapped up into Formula 1 in 2001 by Peter Sauber, way back in the day now. But what an incredible achievement by the Iceman, absolutely fantastic driver, one I have supported for many, many years. He's an absolute legend of the sport, obviously his distaste of media interviews, let's say. He's just been one of the greatest servants of Formula 1. It's just a shame that he was never able to add to his one World Championship that he won with Ferrari in 2007. But an incredible achievement once again. Kimi Raikkonen set to become the most experienced driver in Formula 1 history. He's been on the grid for nearly 20 years now. He is, I believe, confirmed for an Alfa Romeo seat next season as well. So nearly 20 years in F1, almost unprecedented in this modern era. So congratulations to Kimi Raikkonen on that. Speaking of Ferrari, that brings us on to our next talking point. Ferrari are rumoured to be bringing a major upgrade for this weekend in an attempt to improve their performance as we go into the later stages of this 2020 season and into 2021. They did bring some minor upgrades to the last race for the Russian Grand Prix, which saw Charles Leclerc finish in a great P6. Unfortunately, Sebastian Vettel once again outside of the points, but more upgrades are being brought this weekend as they aim to try and push on for the P3 in the championship, which is where they want to finish. Bonotto is hoping that this will give Ferrari a few tenths of a second and allow them to really get stuck into this midfield fight, which is very, very close this season, and especially to give them a good building block to go into 2021, as obviously not a lot of development is allowed between the seasons this year due to the unique circumstances that Formula 1 is currently facing. So getting these developments in before the end of the season absolutely crucial, and Ferrari will be hoping to take a step forward to help in their fight to be the top of the midfield teams this season. Not where they wanted to be, obviously, after the incredible performance last year when they were challenging Mercedes regularly in the second half of the season, but that is a video for another day. Again, if you'd like to see that, once again, do let me know in the comments below, and I will happily get round to talking about the demise of Ferrari. And finally, for today's video, we are going to highlight the battle for P3 in the Constructors' Championship, which I just alluded to. After Renault's incredible form in the last few races, they are now just 7 points behind McLaren in P3 after their dismal Russian Grand Prix in which they failed to score points. Obviously Lando Norris outside the points and Carlos Sainz having that bizarre accident on lap 1 left them pointless and has allowed Racing Point and Renault to really close up. Renault in the last few races have been one of the most consistent point scorers in Formula 1 and they've really closed the gap back up now. So it is going to be interesting to see if they can carry that momentum into this weekend and put pressure on the teams ahead of them for P3 in the Constructors, that best of the rest position that they're all fighting over behind Mercedes and Red Bull. McLaren, of course, will be looking for a bounce-back weekend. My team McLaren's who I support in Formula 1, so I really hope they can have a bounce-back weekend here because I really want to see them get P3 in the championship this season and just continue their rise ever since Fernando Alonso left at the end of 2018. It's been great to see the progress the team have made over the last couple of years for me as a McLaren fan. So hopefully they can put the icing on the cake this season and clinch that P3. Racing Point, obviously, they are just 2 points behind. Where would they be had it not been for that points deduction earlier on in the season with the whole brake duct scandal? Well, who knows, but clearly they would be in front. But can they fight their way back into P3? Obviously, this is the last season we'll see the Racing Point name in Formula 1 before it becomes Aston Martin Racing for next season. And obviously, let's not rule out Ferrari. They are, as we mentioned, bringing those upgrades. They are only 32 points back from McLaren. Obviously, it's quite a lot of points for a midfield team, but 1 or 2 fluky results. If we have another Monza race, for example, they could easily be right back in the fight. So it's going to be very important for them to get these upgrades on the car, to get the upgrades working on the car, more importantly. And let's see who will come out on top in the remaining races. It's going to be very interesting to see. We've got all sorts of circuits coming up. Obviously, Imola soon. Algarve is the next circuit after this one. Obviously the Nürburgring this weekend, we have the Outer Loop at Bahrain as well coming up. All these circuits provide a very, very different challenge, so it's going to be very interesting to see which team manages to maximise their car's performance over all of these races coming up and who is going to clinch P3 in the championship. Let me know who you think in the comments below. Let me know who you are cheering on in this season. Who is your team? Who do you support? Let me know in the comments below and we'll get this discussion going on. However, that is pretty much it for the Eifel GP preview that we are doing here today. I hope you found it interesting. I hope maybe you'll have learned something new. Like I said, I do enjoy talking about Formula 1. I've been following the sport for 20 years now, which makes me feel incredibly old. Let's not talk about that. But it is a sport I love talking about. I hope you guys enjoy hearing me talking about it. And if there is anything else you want me to cover in the real world of Formula 1, do let me know in the comments. And I will definitely get around to doing a video on it for you. If you have enjoyed today's video, do let me know by leaving a like on the video. It does let me know what content you guys are enjoying. and it really does help me out in the land of YouTube because it does sort of help out with the algorithm and helps push the content out to new people who might enjoy it. Also, if you are new, please do consider subscribing. I am trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of 2020, so we've got a couple of months left to try and reach that goal. I'll really appreciate it if you help me out with that, and we'll do some kind of YouTuber subscriber goal reward for it or something, I don't know. A Q&A or a face reveal or something like that. I don't know. If we get to it, I will make a decision then, but please do consider subscribing because it really, really does help the channel out. And again, the more subscribers we get, the more people YouTube pushes it out to, so it just means that more people can find the content. So please do help me out with that. But that is it for today. I have been xSmithyx. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Like I said, do leave a comment if there are any other topics that you want me to talk about in the world of Formula 1, and I will get around to doing them in the next couple of weeks. But that is enough rambling from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.